two sisters in German-occupied France. One determined to protect her family under the tightening grip of occupation. The other charging head first into the resistance. With the world collapsing around them, both face impossible choices that will test their loyalty, their courage, and the limits of love. The sisters, Isabelle and Vienne. The book, The Nightingale. And you're listening to Lit Society.
Let's
get lit. Hi, readers. This is Alexis.
And this is Kari.
And you're listening to Lit Society, a podcast about books and drama. Kari.
Yes.
Are we live? Tap, tap.
Yes, this is another live episode. That means it needs to go out. I don't have time to edit it. But you know, we're a pro at live episodes now because it seems like we never have time to do what we want in life. So,
girl, life be lifing. This is what it is. This is the gift we give to you. Okay?
We've been doing this for 6 years. We can do it.
You can do it. Yeah. So let's dive in. As you know, readers, each week we select a theme to discuss inspired by the book we are reading. So, with not a lot of time in mind, I chose Women in War.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to talk just really briefly, just kind of scratch the surface and talk about 3 women that had major roles as in spydom and espionage during the war.
Harriet Tubman.
Well, specifically World War II.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Yes. World War II.
Is Marilyn Monroe on this list?
No, she's not. But
what about Coco Chanel? Ooh.
So you know what? I want to dig more into this. That's why I want to do like a teaser this week. Mm-hmm. And since we're covering part 1 of the book this week, I want to just do a teaser into the woman and maybe dig a little deeper.
Oh, I would love that.
Next week I would. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Well, let's talk about the supporters of the
Allies.
Yeah. That is, we got Josephine Baker. Surely you've thought of her.
Of course. Yes, of course.
She's American-born, a French citizen. She's a world-famous entertainer, and she used her celebrity status to cover up, as a cover to spy for the French resistance. She smuggled coded messages and sheet music and relayed intel at diplomatic parties. She was given awards for her participation by the French government. The National World War II Museum has information about her on their website. The next one is Nancy Wake. She was born in New Zealand and grew up in Australia. And she was known as the White Mouse for how easily she was able to evade capture by the Gestapo.
Mm.
She worked with the French resistance and later became a top British special operations executive or SOE agent. She led guerrilla attacks. She coordinated supply drops. She killed a German soldier with her bare hands. That's what it says. Okay, that's what it said. This is kind of stuff I want to dig into next week. Nancy also wrote a book about her life as a spy, and it was called The White Mouse. So, again, this is just a little tidbit of information I wanted to share. I'm hoping to dive in more next week. Our third person is Virginia Hall. She's an American. She was one of the most effective Allied spies despite having a wooden leg. She was what she nicknamed Cuthbert? Cuthbert. Anyway, she nicknamed her wooden leg.
Okay.
She actually lost this leg after a hunting accident.
Okay.
She was also known by the Gestapo as the Limping Lady.
Okay. It ain't good when a Gestapo got a nickname for you also. But I'm sure she did a lot. Okay.
She was also part of the special operations. She was a special operations executive agent, and she later worked for an agency that was the precursor to the CIA. She organized sabotage missions. She armed French resistance fighters, and she coordinated parachute drops under constant threat of capture. So
Wow.
that's, again, just a brief introduction to some of our women in war and how they support it. And that's it. Any questions? Something you want to know about? A person you want to know about?
No,
So I
I
can
thank you
add.
for at least pulling these names, and you are going to look further into this
Yeah.
theme. I think it's very interesting and pertinent to the book we're reading.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the time you took to find these ladies. Josephine Baker, I forgot,
Ah,
but I did read her autobiography. I don't remember if she talks about any spy activity, any espionage in
uh-huh.
that biography, but that also might be a book we want to add to our list. So
Yeah.
thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, she's always the first woman I think of when I think about women in war.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll jump into the author and context.
Sounds great. Okay.
And we're back. Woo! Harry, what can you share about our author and a little bit of context about our book? What you got?
Our author is Kristin Hannah. She was born in California in 1950, graduated with a degree in communication from the University of Washington in 1983. Now, she was also a practicing lawyer at one time, having also graduated from law school, but she left that life behind and began writing full time after practicing law in Seattle. The Nightingale is not her first book. I think she has like 25 standalone novels. However, this is her best-selling book, having sold over 4.5 million copies worldwide. And that's what I have on Kristin Hannah. Alexis, who do you think would enjoy reading The Nightingale?
You know what? This book kind of made me think of The Book Thief.
Oh, okay.
Particularly because it's about the war,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that happened during the war, family, and just kind of survival during the war. And then in the Book Thief, they also aided someone, and
Mm-hmm.
so this is what this book made me think about. And then also as I was reading, I'm like, I heard of this book, and my sister actually recommended this book to me a couple years ago, and she's like, "You need to read it. It's a great book to read." So I'm glad you selected it. I'm looking forward to reading part 2 of it.
Yeah, well, my niece has been recommending this book, and it's one of those books that was very popular, and I just missed it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't run in the circles that this book was running. Excuse
exactly,
me, Kristin Hannah, I was not familiar with your game. I'm not
exactly,
saying I enjoyed this book because we saved that for the verdict.
exactly. But that's the point. That's
Yeah,
really the point, right?
yeah, it
Now,
was prolific.
mm, who do you think, Kari, would enjoy reading this book? Or I'm
Yeah.
sorry, more specifically, why did you choose it? Why?
Mm-hmm. I can answer both. If you enjoy historical fiction,
Yeah.
this is the book for you, especially as it pertains to World War II, not focusing on the activity of war, but on what that war brings out of civilians. And that's a very interesting theme to dissect, especially as our society becomes more conflict. It used to be adverse, but now it's like, it won't the trouble, it won't the problems. So yeah, it's just a great reminder of what war does to people. And I chose this book because it was so highly recommended and I knew absolutely nothing about it. And that's always so interesting to me
Mhm.
when a book is well known, highly praised, and it just misses you, especially when you read a book every week.
Yeah,
But it's a
well,
lot of books to
yeah,
go
it's
around,
a
you know?
lot of books out there,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
always being recommended books, and
Hmm.
we just add them to our to be read list. That's
We were
it.
also recommended Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. So we can't be listening to everybody. No, I'm
Mhm.
just kidding.
How long do these books sit on our list before we actually dive into them? So
It's true. And then we have
get
our
them.
own TBR
Mhm,
lists, and
mhm.
we hardly make a mark into those because it's
Absolutely.
always a new book coming out you want to read. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's an
Yeah,
endless cycle.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kari. Shall we dive in? Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is part 1. So you guys, hey there. You waiting for a reading list? Me too. Listen, we got some exciting things coming up for the Patreon family. I just want to go ahead and plug this right quick. I have a series coming that's nothing but bonus material for paid members of our Patreon.
Cool.
And part 2 of this episode. So if you want to know the thrilling conclusion of The Nightingale, you already read it. But if you want to hear us talk about it, please sign up for our Patreon. That's patreon.com/LitSocietyPod. Make sure you're a member of Team Literati because that's where we're going to finish the story. However, let's dive into part 1 of The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah, full of spoilers.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Part 1. Separated sisters reunited. The year is 1995. We're on the Oregon coast, and we meet an elderly woman. We don't know who she is. We know that there are things about her life her family doesn't know. Right now, she's being cared for by a son. He's a doctor, responsible, has a family, and she's aged, facing a cancer diagnosis, and this is not her first. Mm-hmm. Soft spoiler warning. We will be talking only briefly about the loss of a child, loss of a pregnancy, and terminal disease. Okay, so we meet her, but she doesn't give you the impression that you should just feel sorry for her. She has secrets that she has been keeping close to her heart because she has lived a life. And now, as they're clearing out her house and preparing to take her to basically a nursing home, she's thinking, there are some things I am going to keep and never let go that are in this house, physical things. And you're thinking like notes, books, secret love letters. Still, we have no idea who this woman is.
Yeah.
It's cute too, because her son is trying to help her and he's talking to her like, Mom, you don't need these things. And in her mind, she's going, I love this boy, but he barely even know me.
Exactly. That's the part I like. Just like, I have presented myself in such a way that my son doesn't even know who I really am. And I thought I liked that, but maybe I should have revealed more of myself.
Mm-hmm. So how lonely is she in this moment? And even though she's a very strong woman who has a lot to be satisfied about regarding the life she's lived, it seems she's very lonely in this, and that she's perhaps the only person on earth who really knows herself. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
This is a great book club book for reasons like these. There are broader discussions around scenes of this book that lend themselves to a great discussion with friends. And I felt like this is one of them as you see your parents age and you really reflect on not just who they are now, but who they were at their apex and who they still truly are inside. Yeah. They're not just their sickness. So we only spent a brief moment with this older woman, and then we're thrown into the story of two sisters. That's Vienne, who I may call Vivian, because although I'm reading this book on ebook and audiobook, I keep wanting to say Vivian, but her name is Vienne, and her sister is Isabel. Now, their mother died when the oldest, Vienne, was 14, and their father had come back from war. At one time, they were a great, happy family, but the father came back from war. He was forever changed. Then the mother died of maybe TB because she was coughing blood at one point. And so when the mother died, the father, too damaged from war and unable to care for these two little girls, left them in the care of a hired woman who never loved them. Again, Vienne is the older sister. She's a rule follower, shy. She got pregnant young and quickly became a wife at 17 years old to the only man she's ever loved, Antoine. She met him when she was 14. She then miscarried the baby that led to their marriage, but they have a happy marriage. It seems like they weren't that far off in age. But when she miscarried her child, she sank into a depression. The couple, though, later did have a daughter named Sophie. When we meet Vienne, She's enjoying a lovely lunch au plein air with her husband and daughter, and it is the cutest scene. However, when they return home, Antoine informs her that he's leaving them in 2 days. Why, Alexis?
Because he's been called off to war.
The man's been drafted.
Mm-hmm.
How cruel is war to rip a man, a provider, a protector, a lover, a father, a husband from his family without notice.
Yeah,
and the cause is very urgent.
Yeah,
because the Nazis are coming. Go ahead, Alexis.
And she's been through kind of this before. One, because she was older. She was the older sister. She saw her father before the war, and she saw him when he came back. So she's like, but everything's going to be okay, right? I feel like at this point, she's a little delusional.
I think that's a self-protection type of thing where she saw not only what the first war did to her father, but everyone she knew and the whole world around her, how everything just got worse.
Yeah.
And how people were changed forever, how men came home, she said, with pant legs that flapped in the wind because they were missing limbs. Young men come back old, even though their age hasn't changed that much. So things like that. And now her husband, who she's loved since she was 14, she knows no life without him. He's leaving her and their daughter in 2 days. However, Vianne isn't just, my husband, my husband, my husband. She got friends too. Yeah. One being Rachel de Champlain. This is her best friend. She lives next door, very convenient. And unfortunately, Rachel knows exactly what Vianne's going through because her husband, Rachel's husband, has also been drafted.
Right.
And Rachel and her husband have a newborn son and an older daughter that's around Sophie's age named Sarah.
Yep.
So that's the older sister. Then we go to Isabel. Isabel is 10 years younger than Vianne. She's impetuous. She's the stereotypical baby of the family, hard-headed. When we meet her, she's being kicked out of like a boarding school?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to cut an orange. It's like her third that we know of school she's been kicked out of. But at this point, when we meet her, she is 18.
I think it's like a finishing school. So they're trying to refine her and make her ready to be presented, to be in society. Yeah.
Well, she ain't ready and she ain't gonna be ready. And the teacher said, tell the dean that our experiment is over.
She is not ready.
So she's returned to her father and he does not seem happy about it. He ain't never really know her. He ain't trying to get to know her. And she want to work in his bookstore. Well, fine. He reluctantly agrees. Days later, though, their life is again turned upside down because the Germans arrived. There was always this idea that they were so close to France, German armies, but the French were assured that the border around France was strong enough to fend them off. And it got to the point where the citizens even became complacent about the war. Do you remember what they called it?
No, it was a line that wasn't supposed to be crossed, right? Is that?
Yeah, but the townspeople started calling it the so-called war. Like it's not really war.
Full-blown war ongoing, and they like so-called war.
And the real problems, well, that's overseas. Pass me the wine.
Yeah.
And then just like that, the Germans are there. And so her father again sends her away, Isabel. He tells her to go stay with her sister. He gives her money, foodstuffs, and sends her in a car with some strangers. It looks like a couple and their kids.
She don't have no food. Don't forget.
Oh, he didn't give her food. Well, he gave her money.
He told her, get this stuff, but she did not take food. She didn't take food. Because the woman in the car was like, oh, so you don't have no food. You got books. I hope them books do you well. So, no.
So, Alexis, what is the father's motivations here? And does he show any love to his daughter in this moment? What do you think?
No, he's not showing any love. She's already felt abandoned by her father or neglected. So for her to she just feels like she's being pushed off again because he's always like pushed her to somebody else to care for and just not wanted to, she felt not wanting to care for him herself. So
but what is the alternative in this moment?
She could stay with
do
her
you remember
father.
she's nearly 19?
Yeah, but she could have stayed with her father. Why not?
He doesn't know what his future is going to be like. He's going to be on the run. He's not young enough to fight again, but he doesn't know where he's going to lay his head.
But he's not going to be on the run. He's not going to be on the run. He just does not want her in the house with him.
Okay, well, this is time of war, and he's trying to send her somewhere safe, which is with her sister.
And also, her sister, he knew that her sister's husband had been called off to war.
So the sisters can be together.
Yeah, to be alone. So there's that component.
Go help your sister with the niece. Mm-hmm. But Dad, why don't you go also, right? Like, that's family.
Yep. Why don't we all stay together?
Right. Yeah. And just practically to save resources, compile our resources, wouldn't it be better for us all to be together? So this is a man that truly cannot look at he don't really have a relationship with his children at all. He does not. And he, as Alexis said, doesn't want his daughter around him even during this difficult time.
And then he could be their like biggest protector, you know?
Especially as occupation settles in, which happens a little later in the book. Yeah, it might be nice to have a man around. Maybe it won't, because maybe his life would be threatened. We don't know. But on the surface, it seems like there could have been a more loving way to handle this. However, this is what he does.
Yeah.
During the journey with these strangers, Isabel finds herself in an ambush. Okay. The people traveling are those not drafted, right? So it's mostly women, children, older men. The Germans don't care. They bomb them. It's bodies, body parts flying everywhere. She gets separated from her convoy, and soon she is alone until she finds a man in the woods and falls in love with him. Alexis, what can you tell us about Gaetan?
So Gaetan is like, he is in the woods cooking a rabbit, right? And she like,
he ain't fine. He ain't resourceful. He is a prisoner. They done let out the prisoners because ain't nobody there to guard them. So they done let out the prisoners.
That's right.
And he wanted to escape prison. And he very open about his life. I just got out the prison, girl. You might as well sit down and eat some of this rabbit.
Yep. And he's like, don't worry about being afraid of me. But because
she is beautiful. Isabel is a starkly beautiful woman. She's used to people looking at her, not in a conceited way. It's just a matter of fact. And he like, yeah, you fine. And she pulls down her dress for modesty over her knee. And he like, I hope you didn't do that for me. Ooh. I said, oh, did he like women? But that's not where it's going. That's not where it's going. So they form a bond.
Focused. Yeah, he's focused. He's out of this jail. He's out of prison. And he has a mission that he's set on.
I see her father in his behavior in that he is looking out for her. He has no reason to, but he has chosen to. And although her father didn't really do that to a high extent throughout her life, Gaetan he's making sure she is protected, fed, and sleeps safely. Okay. Yeah. To the point where she falls in love with him. She asks for a kiss, and they kiss, and she says, what'd she say, Alexis?
Well, I don't remember what she said, but I do remember she like, I usually give kisses away like
like nothing, but this like means something. She tells him, I love you.
Oh, right.
The look on his face changes. He keeps smiling, but it doesn't seem sincere. And we'll leave that there for a moment. So they kiss. They just kiss. And she says, I love you to the man she met in the woods.
2 days ago, maybe
Do
3.
You feel like it's too soon? So did Gaetan. Now, Gaetan is like, girl, we're going to fight. Who's fighting for France? I'm about to go fight for France. And so Isabella's like, well, I want to fight too, because I saw all them bodies being thrown around me and I got mad. And you know what? When I get mad, somebody getting got. And so Gaetan is like, you sound like you right. So you can come with me and we'll fight together. But then she say, I love you. And he go, oh. And back to Vienne, the older sister. She's trying to put her daughter to bed, but refugees are beating down their door. These are refugees from other towns in France. They're haggard, tired, bloody, desperately clinging to babies already dead. The next morning, Vienne opens her door slowly, cautiously, gingerly, and finds her sister wearing tattered clothes and covered in blood. She was one of the people knocking on the door. Isabel. Pinned to Isabel is a note. And all it says is 4 words. It might as well have been a Post-it. It says, "You are not ready."
You're not ready. You're not ready.
Y'all, Gaetan done left Isabel at her sister's front door. You ain't ready for this fight. How you loving up on me after one kiss? I didn't even kiss you good.
That kiss was a good kiss.
No, girl. No, you need to grow up some more.
What happened was she got caught up in this man as her savior. That's what I think.
What happened is she fell in love with this man, point blank, period. Who's to say how long it takes to fall in love with someone, especially when they exhibit not the idea of him as a person. This girl, helpless, walked up to him, and so he cares for her while being a gentleman.
That's what I mean.
And not just cares for her, they find humor together. They find a common cause. She fell in love with him. It only take a second when your game good, and ain't no game like Ugly Man Game. But that's another book.
And a sweet kiss.
And if y'all listening, you know that's the truth.
And now does he? Don't forget, she got a sweet kiss. Okay,
Still wasn't a kiss. She was loving that man before. She saw that ugly face giving her rabbit, and she said, "Ooh, this the one for me."
Sweet kiss and rabbit on the stick.
Reading this note, Vianne's like, "Why is this note pinned to you that say you're not ready?" And Isabel weeps.
Yeah,
she is really devastated. Her sister bathes her and clothes her, treats her like the baby she is at 19 now, I think. And
she's
Isabel,
still 18 at this point, though.
Okay. And Isabel also reunites with Sophie, her niece, who she hasn't seen since like Sophie was sucking her thumb. It's really cute. She's like, "I haven't seen you since you were sucking your thumb." And Sophie's quick. She's like, "I still do sometimes. Don't tell nobody." How old is Sophie?
I don't know. Is she like 10?
Yeah, 7? In my mind, she's 10. We'll say Sophie and Sarah, the neighbor's daughter, are about 10.
And can I just add, she was upset about Gaetan leaving, but she was also upset because she deeply wanted to participate in the war. And she knew that he was going to play a part. And it's like nobody believes in her. So she's
even as the reader,
that.
Yeah, even as the reader, good point. We're not sure that her obsession and disappointment is about not joining him to fight. I mean, they didn't have a clear plan for fighting, or if it's because she fell in love with him and he rejected her. But it is what it is.
It was both.
And she always feels alone. Everyone's always rejecting her. So for this stranger in the woods now to reject her, it's a little much.
And underestimate her.
Underestimate her, which is another thing everyone always does.
So that also contributed to how heartbroken she was over him leaving her.
Yeah, great point. So let's continue. Part 2, War and Resistance. One day, the girls hear a great French general on the radio with an announcement. Alexis, do you remember what that announcement was? It was very important.
He said, "We're going to submit to the German armies.
We collaborating. We not submitting, we collaborating."
Oh, right. Collaborate.
We was against Germany, but they made points. They made points.
We're going to work together and everything's going to be all right. Your people will come home from the war. Yeah.
Everything you want to hear, imagine I'm saying it. That's basically what he said. Because we cooperating. Yeah. Isabel sees this as a surrender, which is what it is. Vienne, eager to see Antoine, her husband, convinces herself, I want to believe as the reader, that the general is doing what's best for France and the worst is over.
Yeah.
If I am incorrect, however, Vienne in her naivety truly believes that this general is going to bring her husband home, that this is truly a cooperation between two nations. Isabel is upset. How do you cooperate with Nazis, with the Gestapo? And, Vienne makes a good point. Oh, you know better than the generals who are protecting us. You know better than our leaders, our legends. You, 18-year-old girl who can't even take care of yourself. I heard you couldn't cut an orange.
Her sister went in. But also, Vienne is like, this leader knows what happened in the last war, and he is protecting the citizens. He knows what we went through, and he just wants to protect the citizens. This is good for us.
And I know that because I also know what happened in the last war.
You're
You were non-existent, okay?
Yep.
You don't know.
Yep.
I know how bad it gets. So you can have your little bravado, but I know the reality.
Exactly.
So we're always tasting how fearful Vienne is without it being overly done or comical. It's a very real fear that kind of shapes everything she does in life and who she is as an individual to her core. It's why she's a rule follower. It's all shaped. The war has shaped who she is as a person, which is what war does. So Isabel begins hiding the family's valuables throughout their house and in the cellar. She is acting as if they are under occupation, which they are not. However, then they are.
Yeah.
So this whole time, Isabel is acting very cautiously, and Vienne's like, this is stupid. They even find some pearls, and they're like, these were mother's. Maybe one day you can sell them, Vienne. I would never sell these. These were mother's pearls. So she's, I want to say stupid. When I was reading, I was like, man, Vienne, you stupid. But she's not stupid, right, Alexis? Give me a more graceful characteristic for Vienne.
A more graceful characteristic?
She's not naive either.
No, but she is really just trying to keep it. Well, that's what I said initially, but she's really just trying to keep it normal for her daughter. And she
and herself.
And she's trying to hold on to the fact that it's not going to get as bad as it's gotten in the past.
No way it can get as bad as it had gotten.
So she's definitely delusional.
And that was the war to end all wars. So this war can't be that. Yeah. So the Gestapo eventually call everyone in the area to a meeting and threaten them, demand in a nasty, nice way, which is extra scary. Yeah. They demand they hand over their radios. Vienne is like, that radio belonged to my husband. I ain't giving that to nobody. In her heart, that's what she's thinking. They want their weapons. And there's going to be a new curfew. So you submit or you face the consequences. Smile, smile. And you know what those consequences are? We're going to burn your life. Also, resources will be rationed. Yeah. They also announced that French prisoners will remain in German custody. And they say this so lackadaisically, like, all the French prisoners will remain in German custody. And Vienne's like, well, what does that mean as far as Antoine is concerned? Is he a French prisoner? Is he going to never come home? Is that what you're saying? No answers are given her in this moment. Then they get a knock on their door. So they go home from this terrible meeting. Someone knocks on their door. And who is it, Alexis?
It is, Captain Beck. Or just
Captain Beck. Captain Beck. I like the way you said that. That's him. Let me see. What he look like? He looked like Jude Law in the 90s. I don't know. I don't even know that reference. Where'd that come from? Give me a blonde boy people like. Oh, Chris Pine. Early Chris Pine.
Oh, no. Early. Wasn't Chris Pine didn't he play on Parks and Rec?
Is he? No, that's Chris Pratt.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway. So just, I don't know. We don't know blonde boys. But give us a blonde German boy, strong, straight backed, blonde hair, blue eyes, strong.
Handsome, very handsome.
Very handsome, statuesque, polite gentleman. Okay. He knocks on their door, tells them in the most politest way that their home is very conveniently located. And so he's going to be living there now.
And I like it.
Straight up. So it's like, Isabel's like, no, you ain't gonna live here. You at the wrong house. This a dream. You dream. And Vienne's like, you need to shut up, Isabel, because this man could kick us out of the home that our family has owned for centuries. Or however long, a long time. Yeah. She's also thinking of her daughter. What would she do with her daughter on the street? Yeah. Because of her talkative sister. So they let Captain Beck in. They're like, there's a room downstairs. You'll be very comfortable there. He doesn't protest. He doesn't say, give me the best room of the house. He says, I will be a gentleman. If I wasn't, my mother wouldn't be happy with it. And later he even talks about his wife and his children commiserating it seems, with Arvien.
And he says that, I think he also says that the commanders have told them they need to be gentlemen.
Sounds like a bull-faced lie. Also, there's like moments where Vian thinks she alone. She turned around, he right there.
Yeah.
Like looking. She's in the kitchen washing the dish, and he's right there.
Yeah.
It's like he's always finding a way to be around Arvien.
Yeah.
So yeah, Captain Beck lives with them now in this house. Vian, Isabel, Sophie, the baby, and Captain Beck. The neighbors don't like that. No one likes that. However, the Germans under occupation are also kicking people out of hotels, their businesses, and their homes. So this is not unique to Vian and her family. And all these people are just hoping that one day these people leave and return to them their property. Okay.
And their people.
And their people. Germany has no intention of doing either. Well, while defacing a German poster, Isabel accidentally one day finds herself joining the resistance.
Voila.
Vian sends her to get some rationed meat. And on the way back, Vian had picked up a piece of chalk she saw in the street and decides to deface a poster. A man tells her, "Don't you know that's punishable by death?" He drags her to a building, into a room. And they go, "Hey, you don't like Germany? Us neither. Join us. Hand out these pamphlets." And she says, "Sure will." So she begins sneaking pamphlets. Now, she puts the pamphlets in the basket with the meat, the ration meat, okay? Goes home, and Captain Beck, with his chivalry, is like, "I'll take that basket." It's all very suspicious. And she sees the paper kind of peeking out of her. She's sweating. And he like, "Why you all nervous, girl? You always got something strong to say. What's wrong? Why you acting all weird and sweaty?" And she tries to be very, discreet.
Yeah.
She takes the basket, takes the note, and that is the end of the situation. He seems none the wiser. Well, she's given flyers. They're critical of the occupation of Germany. She starts handing them out to people she believes will be sympathetic to their cause. If she is caught, it's not like when she was defacing that poster, she really will be killed. Yeah. And as a woman, perhaps worse. So this is a mission now that she has kind of fallen into, but it aligns with her goal of fighting against Germany. Mm-hmm. One day, Captain Beck stops Vian in the street to the disapproving looks of everyone around her and hands her a list of prisoners not returning home. He goes, "I know you were wondering about your husband. And why does he do this in front of everyone? Like, he could have just waited till they was at home, right?" Yeah. No, he does this in front of everyone. Mm-hmm. Here is a list. We don't know in the book as we're reading if he's to be trusted, but Vian has the responsibility now of taking this list, which has her husband's name on it, saying her husband will never come home, okay? Yeah. He is one of those prisoners, and her neighbor's husband on this list. Yeah. She takes it to Rachel, her neighbor, her friend. Rachel's like, "You know what we got to do?" So they gather together the local women and let them know about this list. No one's happy. People are like, "How'd you get that list? Your boyfriend gave it to you?" And then it's like, "How dare you? Don't you know German soldiers have been occupying everyone's home. No one's happy about this." The women calm down. They have tears in their eyes. This is very stressful. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Vian and Rachel de Champlain, they tell their friends and neighbors that their husbands, their fathers, their sons might not come home. Mm-hmm. When Vian returns home from this situation, Captain Beck now asks a favor of her. And on that note, Alexis, please, a dramatic reading, a section from The Nightingale. You have the floor.
He was seated at the dining room table with papers spread out in front of him. At her entrance, he looked up. A drop of ink fell from the tip of his fountain pen, landed in a blue starburst on the white sheet of paper in front of him. "Madame, most excellent, I am pleased you are returned." She moved forward cautiously, holding the packet of postcards tightly. They'd been tied up with a scrap of twine. I have some postcards here, written by friends in town to our husbands, but we don't know where to send them. I hoped perhaps you could help us." She shifted uncomfortably from one foot to the other, feeling acutely vulnerable. "Of course, madame. I would be pleased to do this favor for you, although it will take much time and research to accomplish." He rose politely. "As it happens, I am now concocting a list for my superiors at the commandantur. They need to know the names of some of the teachers at your school." "Oh," she said, uncertain as to why he would tell her this. He never spoke of his work. Of course, they didn't speak often about anything. Jews, communists, homosexuals, Freemasons, Jehovah's Witnesses. Do you know these people? "I am Catholic, Herr Captain. As you know, we do not speak of such things at school. I hardly know who are homosexuals and Freemasons at any rate." "Ah, so you know the others." I don't understand." "I am unclear, my pardons. I would appreciate it most sternly if you would let me know the names of the teachers in your school who are Jewish or communist." "Why do you need their names?" "It's clerical merely. You know us Germans, we are list makers." He smiled and pulled out a chair for her. Vienne stared down at the blank paper on the table, then at the postcards in her hand. If Antoine received one, he might write back. She might know at last if he was alive. This is not secret information, Herr Captain. Anyone can give you these names." He moved in close to her. "With some effort, madame, I believe I can find your husband's address and mail a package for you. Also, would this be sanguine?" "Sanguine is not the right word, Herr Captain. You mean to ask me if it would be all right?" She was stalling and she knew it. Worse, she was pretty sure that he knew it. "Ah, thank you so much for tutoring me in your beautiful language. My apologies." He offered her a pen. "Do not worry, madame. It is clerical, merely." Vienne wanted to say that she wouldn't write down any names, but what would be the point? It was easy enough for him to get this information in town. Everyone knew those whose names belonged on the list, and Beck could throw her out of her own house for such a defiance. And what would she do then? She sat down and picked up the pen and began to write down names. It wasn't until the end of the list that she paused and lifted the pen tip from the paper. "I'm done," she said in a soft voice. "You've forgotten your friend." "Did I?" "Surely you meant to be accurate." She bit her lip nervously and looked down at the list of names. She was certain, suddenly, that she shouldn't have done this. But what choice did she have? He was in control of her home. What would happen if she defied him? Slowly, feeling sick to her stomach, she wrote the last name on the list. Rachel de Chaplin.
Thank you, Alexis. So, Vienne finds herself in a position where she has to make a choice. Does she risk, you're out of frame, by the way. Does she risk her home, the safety of her daughter? Does she risk all of this to save her friends? Or to not be involved, at least, in their capture, torturing, who knows? She chooses to cooperate. And she says repeatedly, you could get these names from anyone. He makes this clear by saying, you forgot your friend. So he already knows who should be on this list.
He does. He's testing her. I do not trust him.
During times of war, Alexis, are you forced to pick a side?
Yeah, I think so.
And that side may not be for or against the cause that is for or against you. It might be a side of your principles, who you are. That's easier said than done. But we've definitely read stories of people who have chosen that side, who have chosen the side of morality, who have chosen the side of integrity as they see it. And that comes with real risks. But Vianne is very fearful in this moment and very disappointed in herself for choosing what she realizes in the moment, even as she's doing it, is the wrong side. This type of precarious, she hasn't secured any safety for herself. She's just failed a test, basically. So soon Nazis show up to the school where Vianne teaches and removes from classrooms teachers who were on Vianne's list. And, again, this list wasn't necessary. So they no doubt had their own list. And they just wanted her to, they wanted to test her, like we said, or at least Captain Beck did. But regardless, she feels guilty when these teachers are removed. These teachers suspected of being Jews, communists, etc. Vianne confronts Beck at his office, and he again is very cordial, kind with her. Oh, I thought it was only clerical. I am sorry. And he seems very sincere. When she leaves that office, people in the street see her leaving a German soldier's office, the same German soldier that lives with her. It is not a good look. She's making terrible choices. All of her choices, they are bad.
She is constantly being judged by those around her, even though I would say many of her neighbors are subjected to the same environment that she's in with somebody.
All may not be as pretty as she is, though. And that is going to cause a different conversation.
True.
So part 3.
I don't know. Wait a minute. I don't know why she has to be held accountable because she's more accountable than the rest because she's beautiful.
But you will be.
It ain't fair.
If you was an 80-year-old woman with warts all over your face, people be like, she got 5 German soldiers living with her, but you got to do what you got to do.
Why can't Vianne be the one that got to do what she got to do too?
These are points being brought up in the book. Part 3, secrets and secret missions. So Isabel continues gaining the trust of the rebellion. She's discreet. She enjoys the work, including the local leader is trusting her, named Henri. Now, he tells her that they need someone to deliver messages to resistant members in Paris. If caught, the resistor will certainly be killed. And again, women can expect a very specific form of punishment. Despite the danger and warnings, Isabel volunteers for this mission. She makes up a story then about her father being sick and asking that she care for him. Captain Beck listens and oddly looks at Vianne while Isabel is explaining this. Okay. Now, maybe he's looking at Vianne thinking, oh, I get to have you alone now. Maybe he's looking at Vianne because he sincerely is making her a pseudo wife in his mind and he's looking for her input. There's a lot going on. It's not being explained to us in a good way. It is up to the reader at this point to decide what Captain Beck is thinking. But regardless, he tells Isabel something like, well, we can't have that. We must arrange for you to go to Paris. When they're alone, Vianne lets her sister know, I don't believe you about the story because why would Daddy want you to take care of him? And so Isabel goes, you're right. I got a little boyfriend and I want to go have a romantic tryst in Paris during war times. And Vianne goes, I knew it, you stupid girl. And Isabel goes, Vianne, do you believe that? Do you believe that I have some lover I'm going to go see in Paris? And Vianne's like, yes, because that's just like you. You know, you just act all, this is just you.
Careless. You're careless,
You're
woman.
careless. And so Isabel is like, well, in her mind, she's like, well, my sister truly is dumb and I'm going to let her believe that lie. Okay, bye. So she goes to Paris. So we don't know what Captain Beck's game is here, but now in the house alone. Also, by the way, Vienne is like, I can't believe you're going to leave us, me and Sophie, with Captain Beck. And Isabel is like, I know one thing, do not go near him. He is not to be trusted. She's like, you're telling me he's not to be trusted, but you're leaving me with him. You know?
Also that. Mm-hmm.
So does he want to be alone with Isabel? Is the author showing us the duplicity of a soldier's life, his desires versus his ideology? We don't know. Okay. So Vienne doesn't believe the story about the father being sick, but she does believe the one about Isabel going to see a lover in Paris. However, you and I, reader, know the truth.
And then also, Captain Beck helps make the papers for her to leave Paris. He
facilitates this departure.
Mm-hmm.
Now the atmosphere at home changes with Isabel gone, and it's sad to say, but Vienne's like, there's a lot less stress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with me and this German Nazi and my daughter Sophie. We can sit at the table and have a meal. Tension is now missing. Beck brings Vienne and Sophie a fish for dinner. During this period where German soldiers have all the resources and they're acting as if there's a shortage and literally starving the people, this is a huge deal. Sophie comes running downstairs and she's like, fish, am I dreaming? I get to eat fish. After one stressful day where Sophie finds herself fired from her job by a Gestapo agent who felt like she was just too nosy, she even sips from Captain Beck's wine glass. This is a very intimate thing. And we like, Vienne girl, you in danger. Well, she rationalizes her tolerance of him as being for her daughter, he's helping to stave off hunger. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I forgot what I was going to say, but I think it had to do with the fact that she is doing everything so that she and her daughter can maintain home. And again, she is trying to maintain a sense of normalcy for her and her daughter. And she is trying to not accept the food that he's given because she doesn't want to be judged by her community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is it worth it?
Well, Captain Beck assures her that although she's run out of money, she has no job now, and winter is coming. She will not starve, and neither will Sophie. He then leaves to visit his real family, and he's like, I'm going to be back, but trust me, you not going to starve, okay, ever. I'm going to make sure that don't happen, okay? You going to eat. Well, his absence is almost worse to Vienne than his presence. At least when he's there, they do eat, and they know they will. Isabel shows up to her father's, now we're with Isabel. She shows up to her father's chagrin. He's pale, thin, and drunk when she sees him at his home in Paris. What's worse, he's working for the Nazis as a last resort. She's like, after everything you've been through, you working for them now? Ugh. She is truly ashamed of him. And he, on the other hand, can't stand her. So they kind of live separately while she's living in his house in Paris. With the cover of working in her father's bookshop, Isabel begins accepting messages from rebels and carrying out missions for the resistance. Working from the bookshop one day, she sees, walking home from the bookshop, she sees a man not following her, but being in the shadows. He looks a little weird, out of place. She approaches him. He's a British pilot. She speaks English so she can communicate with him. And she says, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'll hide you. I'll protect you. So she brings him to her father's home and hides him in basically an attic, like the back end of a closet. She goes downstairs. Her father's like, I hear something upstairs. And so he goes looking, doesn't see anything. It's like, does he know? Does he not know? Well, back at the resistance headquarters, Isabel is scolded for taking such chances and reminded that they have no plan for sneaking out ally soldiers. Well, Isabel says, you do have a plan. It's over the mountains. And you don't think you can do it, but a woman actually can. In fact, this woman can. So if you got down soldiers that were in planes in the sky and now they're right here on Earth and they need to get back over across enemy lines, I'm the woman for the job. Well, a respected man enters the room when she says this. He's been listening to her, following her behavior, and knew everything about her, even when she first joined the resistance. And who is that, Alexis?
Gaetan.
That's the man she loved in the woods, Alexis.
I loved him.
He's making his way up the ranks of the resistance, and he's been keeping an eye on her, but he lets her know when they're alone, listen, it's not good for us to be alone. I'm not saying I love you. I ain't saying I like you. But I'm going to just be watching you. You stay safe. So as soon as she sees him, though, she knows right away all her feelings are still there.
They all come back.
She loved that ugly man.
Love story.
Mm-hmm. Isabel returns home and her father says, the back of your closet smells like urine and sweat. And she goes, oh, Dad, I had a soldier back there. We was just kissing. He's like, you really think I'm dumb? I know you hiding people. And you know what? I got a little secret of my own. What was that, Alexis?
He is working with the resistance too.
I was resistant before you even knew how to spell resistance. So you think I work for the Nazis? That's just a cover because I'm a forger and I'm the best forger there is. In fact, the pamphlets you was handing out, guess who printed them? That was me.
Daddy.
Okay. I wanted to keep you from all of this dangerous life, but I see you are too determined. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you a name. It was a friend of your late mother. He gives her that name. That's the woman you need to see when you get to where you're going. You see? So sometimes people don't act with emotional love. I want to say or display love correctly, but they still act with love behind the scenes. Not that one can replace the other. I'm just saying he loves his daughter. Okay?
Oh.
I don't know.
Is that what you got from that?
It isn't. Part 4, purpose. This is our final part for today.
Okay.
Part 1 of our book. So Isabel boards a train and she real bold. Like, remember she's traveling. She's going to eventually have to cross these mountains with her companion, her fellow in the resistance, and the soldiers, the downed soldiers that they're trying to get to safety. So they all board the train staggered at different times. Like her companion's acting like he's a fisherman. I forget what the downed soldiers are doing to conceal their identity, but she boards and she like cute and she like, hey, German soldiers. And everybody around her that's French is like, oh, why are you smiling at them?
Exactly.
And she like, what's a German name? Schnitzel, you play cards? You want to play some cards? I got cards.
Hey,
so the German soldiers love her. She miss a party all the time on the train. No one thinks anything. Okay,
she's cute. So,
and she's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Isabel arrives at the home of her late mother's old friend, Madame Bobineau. Bobineau, yeah, that's the name. And a man like roughs her up, like tosses her head against the wall and is like, who you working for? Give us the names of the rebels. We know you're on the side of the rebels. And she goes, a woman? Me? That's impossible. Are you sick? And they're like, oh, this is a good one. Okay, we can trust you. And so after seeing how she doesn't flinch, that man that she met through the woman agrees to guide their group over the mountains. This trek over the mountains to Spain is described in beautiful detail. There's times when they all want to give up, where the soldiers drop to their knees. At one point, one soldier, and this made me cry, he's like, please go. I'm holding everybody back. I can't do this. Thank you for trying. I'm going to die here. Goodbye. And she goes, do you have a wife back home? He goes, you don't play fair. And she goes, what's the wife's name? Let's do this for her. Eventually, they all make it across. When she reaches the British embassy, they are astounded to learn what she has done by helping bring these soldiers home in a way. They're still in Spain, but you know. So the resistance now implicitly trusts Isabel. They start giving her money to fund her missions. She gets her own place to live. She is a spy, a real one, by the code name, Alexis,
the Nightingale,
which is the meaning of the translation of her last name. So it works perfectly. Like she finished a mission, they be like, the Nightingale has sung at midnight. And she like, I know that's right.
The Nightingale has landed.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Does it? So she feels now that she is working within her purpose. She feels so fulfilled, so happy. She is actually fighting Germany. So meanwhile, the war is continuing to take its toll on Vian's home. The Americans' entry into the war is making the Nazis even more angry. They're getting meaner. Vianne faints from hunger one day, and because she's been giving all her food to Sophie. And who picks her up and begins helping her eat?
Beck.
Captain Beck. Mm-hmm. So he's returned from his real family to his fake one. So months later, by the way, so this is wintertime, right? And then months later, during the spring or summer months, Rachel's daughter, Rachel's daughter, comes over, Sarah, and it's like, something's wrong with my mommy. She's saying, it's just really sad. She's really sad. So Vianne goes over to her best friend's home. She sends Sophie and Sarah to go play, and she talks to her best friend, who, by the way, knows that Vianne gave her name to Captain Beck. She had a fit. She was angry. She was sad. And she forgave her nearly immediately. Mm-hmm. She was like, but be careful, because war is going to bring out, we need to decide who we are, because war is going to bring that out of us. So, So they truly are friends. Things are open between them, Rachel and Vianne. And Rachel tells Vianne what's on her mind. As a Jew, Rachel will now have to wear the Star of David. Not just her, but her daughter, Sarah. They will have to wear this at all times to mark them, in public, in private, everywhere. Sophie says, oh, I'll wear one too, like my best friend, Sarah. And Vianne lets her daughter know, no, this is one thing you can't do together. End of part 1. You want to take a break?
Yes, please.
All right, let's do it. Hi, I'm Kari, co-host of the Lit Society podcast, an avid reader just like you. And this week's episode is brought to you by our 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal. It's amazing, you guys. Let's talk about it. Sometimes I find it hard to remember my favorite quotes or plot points after finishing a book. So I wanted a journal to help me with that. And I wanted it to not just be functional, but to also be fun, contain interactive elements, and motivate me to read more and better. I couldn't find one, and so I created that exact journal just for you and me. The 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal is the best journal for any reader or wannabe reader. This isn't some downloadable cookie cutter PDF. It is a custom journal I created page by page. Use it to track books you're reading in real time. You can use it to easily summarize plots and write down detailed reviews. Keep track of your favorite series. Save unforgettable quotes that you want to recall later. And even challenge yourself with a diversity reading challenge. Plus, there's a fun book bingo game I designed to be shared with your favorite book club or with friends who love reading like we do. This journal makes the perfect gift for your favorite reader or yourself. I created each page to help us stay inspired and get the most out of every book we read. To grab your 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal, visit our Etsy shop or Patreon page. And let's make 2025 our best reading year ever. And we're back. Alexis, what did you think of this first part of the Nightingale? Are you eager to continue? How do you feel about the book so far?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I want to know the ending of this book. I'm following the story. I love it. I love the little bit of love story that's in there. I love the strength of Isabel. I do. And I just look forward to hearing the rest of her story. So I'm excited. So far, so good. How about you, Kari?
I feel the exact same. This book is so well written. It's one of those books where right away you understand, oh, this is going to be a good book. Mm-hmm. You understand that care was taken to flesh out these characters, that this dialogue will not be wasteful, that the words and the scenes are here for a reason, and that's good. Now, we don't know how it's going to end, right, but it fills you with confidence that wherever the author takes you will be a worthwhile journey. Yeah. It's also interesting how in this book you may find yourself rooting for Isabel. However, she is impetuous and she is careless. Mm-hmm. And it's not as if Vianne's motivation, which in this case is feeding her daughter, is less noble than Isabel. Yeah. And in fact, maybe it's more noble, but we are so trained to be on the side of the resistor.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting, just the feelings that I have for these characters and how I was so irritated with Vian and how I hate everything she does. That also
That's interesting.
interests me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't hate everything she does. I feel for her. I understand her plight, and I'm rooting for her to come out of this even stronger because she is really going through something. She's got to take care of her child, protect her child, and she wants to maintain this home. She's waiting for her husband to return. And I don't know if we should really trust Beck.
I absolutely no, we should not. But this is a game of courtship that they are playing in a way, and it is very disturbing. But in war and desperation, you cannot trust your emotions. Even out of war, you cannot trust your heart. So it is a very dangerous game that these two perhaps are playing. Like maybe Captain Beck is also being foolish and falling for Vian, but I do not think so. I think he is aware of what is going on, and he is that scene that you read so beautifully. That showed his true colors.
Exactly.
More than anything.
He has a plan. They were told to be kind, gentlemanly to these homes that they moved into these women so they can get them to do certain things or they can get them to comply with requests. And that's why she wrote those names down. She felt she had to. And he's living with her and she doesn't want to lose what she has. She wants to save something for her husband to return to.
Yeah.
So I feel for her. I'm not angry with her. I feel for her.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a lot on her.
This war is not just fought physically, but psychologically. And so although she is not on the battle lines, she is, in my opinion, losing that psychological war day by day, living with Captain Beck.
It is true. And I don't think she's aware of the power he's gathering over her.
Let's say she is. What's she going to do? It's like, you going to be aware of it? Okay.
Yeah,
and not eat.
Try harder. No. There's that emotional side. It's not just about the food. There's the emotional side of him.
Yeah, don't be confiding in him.
Yeah,
go confide in Rochelle.
Go next door until you can't. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a lot on her. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Well, I agree. Part 1, there it is.
Okay. Well. So we're going to take care of part 2 next week. Join us, y'all. Join us. Thank you for listening to Lit Society. We look forward to meeting up with you next week, Thursday. Lit Society is brought to you by Alexis Honoria, that's me, and Kari Herrera.
That's me.
Support the cause by leaving a 5-star review for our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Join us on Patreon, y'all. Because there's conversations being had over there. We love
have
comments.
A lot of fun.
Leave comments on Apple. Wherever you can leave comments, leave them. We're looking for them. We want them, y'all. We want to hear from you. Give your opinion. Share your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
We love y'all. And tell a friend, okay? If you enjoyed what you just heard, please tell a friend. Visit litsocietypod.com for show notes, this month's book list, and to sign up for our amazing email newsletter. And until next time, read something.